In the beginning, there was a beautiful maiden, beloved by all. One day, she met a handsome and very talented young man, but his heart was cold and uncaring. But through her wisdom and beauty, she was able to melt his heart, and together they grew and helped one another become a king and a queen. But this is not that story. No, this is the story of their son, Prince Dexter, the biggest, most lovable asshole. Dexter's life started out quite hard. He was born to a bunch of evil capitalistic trolls that forced poor children to have more children so they could sell them at the child market for gold. Dexter was put into a cage at a young age, and there he waited for his chance to escape into the real world, where he could hump and lick freely. He suffered much hardship in these early days, and this trauma would follow him his entire life. One day the queen fell ill, and was overtaken by a case of the sads. She missed playing with the children from her own kingdom, and felt lonely in this new kingdom so far from home. The king, wanting to help, found a child store nearby, and hoped it would break the queen's sadness. She could play with a few children at the store and get it out of her system, he thought, and become happy once more. It worked a little. The queen saw and played with many children, and loved them all, but none offered a permanent fix. Until she saw young Dexter, sitting in a cage marked Red-Brown Dachshund, 6 months, male. She first noticed his handsomeness paralleled even her own unrivaled beauty, so she decided to play with him. This was Dexter's long-awaited chance, though. When the queen held him, he wriggled and he pushed and he heaved and he hoed, and he got free. He quickly tried to dash for the door, but noticed too late his legs were small and pathetic, and he didn't have a chance to escape. So instead, he quickly hid under a shelf and hoped everyone would forget about him until he could escape from the child store in the dead of night. He was never smart. But the queen was having none of it. She walked up to the shelf and reached her hand to grab Dexter, but to her surprise, she was met with the most gentle of paws pushing her away. She reached again, and another paw pushed her away. It was clear that Dexter was an even-matched foe, and the queen always loved a challenge. She decided then and there that Dexter would be their child, and she was happy. But the king did not share her excitement. He knew that having a child was forbidden in their kingdom by the evil wizard Landlord Chen, and despite being a king and a queen, they had very little gold to escape his edicts. The king was sad to break the queen's heart, but she understood, and they eventually caught Dexter and returned him to his cage at the child store. That night, the queen was more sad than ever. When the king and queen lay down for bed, the king heard the queen crying. He was worried and asked if everything was okay. The queen turned to him, and he was shocked. There on her cheek was something magical, something the queen had used often to overcome adversity, a single queen's tear. The queen then spoke a simple incantation to the king. "What if a mean family buys Dexter?" she called out. The queen's spell immediately took hold. The king was immediately entranced and powerless. He forgot about gold and the wizard's proclamation and all reason. He agreed. Dexter would be theirs. The next day it rained, an ominous omen in their kingdom, but the spell was still strong, and so they gathered up what little gold they had and headed to the child store once more to purchase little Dexter. A decision that will lead to many adventures to come.